Hello and welcome to my channel Bobo Bun. I'm Lisa, a vintage inspired dressmaker and dressmaking teacher. Even though I'm mainly about the sewing, I do love to knit, and today I'm going to chat about current knits, old knits and plan knits, because we all love a spot of knitting, don't we? And before I move on, I should also wish you a Merry Christmas, as we are in the season. So quite a few of my knits are going to be seasonal also. I'm standing back a bit just to show you the jumper I've got on. It's the Night Before Ski jumper by Poison Girls. Trying to remember, I think it might have been 3 years ago, maybe more, probably about 3, that I knitted this, and it has this lovely intarsia of sort of snowflake design across the front. It's boat neck, and it's got slight sort of puffed shoulder heads, and if I turn around, I don't know if you can see at the back, there's a little snowflake just in the back there. And this is really hot. I knitted it in a really thick alpaca. I mean, I'm not kidding, I am sweltering in this. I know it's cold, but it's a lovely blue sky day here today, so it's not as cold as it has been, and this jumper is really for the coldest wintry days. So I decided that I was going to knit another version because I absolutely love the shape. I found the one that I've knitted is a little bit too short, so I wanted to lengthen it slightly, and I wanted one that I could wear all year round. So I'm going to show you that one and tell you a little bit about that before I talk about what Foxy's wearing. You can just enjoy what Foxy's wearing for the moment. Now this one's going to be rather hard to hold up because I've moved on to picking up the sleeves, so I've got 4 needles. I always hate the bit when I get to 4 needles because I'm always really paranoid about the stitches coming off. I'm trying to put the ball of wool under my arm so that I can sort of manhandle all of this. Right, so what I did, oh god, let's just move that needle up. Scary times. I've wanted to do one in this lovely pink. It's Drops cotton merino, and the whole jumper's knitted on, I'm trying to remember, 4mm needles. So it's Drops cotton merino in this lovely pink. And 2 things happened here. I knew I wanted to make it a jumper I could wear all year round, but I hadn't decided on what I was actually going to do at the top here, but my head kept leaning towards Fairisle. I've tried Fairisle before, knitting a beret, and the beret just got thicker and smaller. It's obviously, I've read around this, I'm not an expert. When I give you the terminology, you'll think, oh, she knows a thing or two about Fairisle. It's just what I've been reading and learning. They're called floats, where you carry the wool along the back. I will just show you because I'm really proud of my floats. Can you see in there how the wool's carried along the back? But obviously I was getting my floats wrong. I was twisting them, pulling them too tight, and I just thought, I adore Fairisle. This is all those years ago and I trashed that beret. I adore Fairisle, but I just can't get it. I was fine with intarsia, you know, knitting like little hearts or say ducks when my daughters were young, or you know, just that kind of thing. Fine with that. But Fairisle, my tension was just totally off, and obviously I wasn't floating correctly. So I thought this would be a really good practice area for Fairisle, and if it does well, then I can move on to more Fairisle knits, because I just love Fairisle with floral print, you know, mix and matching. It's just glorious, and the options are amazing. So I looked in my cupboard what I've got, and I'd got cream, black and a magenta. And I found a Fairisle pattern that would work, you know, with the amount of stitches and the repeat, you know, for the distance I'd got to go. So I charted that all out. You know, I put it on graph paper and coloured in all my squares so that I could follow it. I just find that so much easier to do with any kind of graph type of knitting. I would show it to you, but I can't remember where I've put it. 2 seconds, I shall try and find it. Here it is, looks a bit tatty now, but this was my yoke pattern. And ignore the colours because I then changed the colours. So I knitted, I think the black bits with magenta, and I really didn't like it. And I think I'd got to about here. So I pulled it all out, and there's been lots of pulling out because you have to count all the repeats each row, and sometimes my brain would wander off. You know, the old ADHD brain really struggles you know, sometimes staying on programme with whatever I'm doing. It drifts around here, there and everywhere. So I was a lot of pulling out, but I was determined to get this right. So I decided to just go for the cream and the black with pink accents. And if I hold it up closer, you can see how I've picked out the pink in some of those areas there. And yeah, on that centre strip, they look like little hearts in the middle. So I finished the front and I was so thrilled with it because I was going to do the back plain, and then this had worked so well and I had finished the back. So I unpicked or frogged, as we say in knitting terms, the whole back, and I fairiled that yoke too. So now I am picking up the sleeves in the round, and it's got a puff sleeve, so you're doing lots of increases at the top of the sleeve head, and they're wrap and turns to increase for that sleeve cap. So that's what I'm doing with her, and she's longer and she fits like a dream. I've tried her on before I got all these needles on, so I'm super thrilled, and I was thinking I'd have it finished very soon, but who knows, this is the season of struggling to find time to do things, isn't it? You know, we're trying to do 1,000,001 things. Or picking up these sleeves, because Poison Girls is designed by an American lady, then it's using American terminology. So when I first knitted a Poison Girls jumper, which is the one behind me, the Night Before ski jumper, and I'll show you that a bit more in detail in a moment. That was my first knit, and it's all knitting from the top down, and then you pick up and join the shoulders and then work all the way down, knit in the round, and then you pick up the sleeves. And there's I think it was terms like make one left, make one right, and then the wrap and turn. They're not usual terms in English knitting. But thank goodness I've got this huge book that's like a Bible, it's about that thick, and I call it my knitting Bible, that my love bought me years ago. And to be absolutely honest, I think it must be on the bottom of the bookcase. I'm trying to think where it is now, but that was marvellous at me learning all these new techniques. So don't be put off, because obviously the great Google now helps us, so you can always find something out if you don't have the right book. So, you know, give these a try. I love that you're just knitting it all in the round, there's no sewing up. Obviously I have got the hell of, there's about 100 million trillion zillion threads to sew in, which is hugely unenjoyable. So I tend to sit down with a good drama, watching that and sewing those in. And obviously a Miss Marple would be most ideal, and then you can ooh and ah at the knitwear while you sew those loose threads in. Now the jumper behind me, which I will bring round, I'll bring Foxy round to show you. I knitted this version first. It was in a blue colourway. I didn't fancy doing it traditionally, and I used a really cheap yarn just to try it out. And then it has a keyhole neck at the back, you know, and a little vintage button. And it's really lightweight, and this is really sweet. I really do love this one. I just pop it on in front of me so you can see, and look at the holly and the berries. And people, oh, and I love this detail here, it's really pretty. And at the bottom of the cuffs I've got these. Oh, and I should have shown you, bottom of my Night Before ski, you have snow on the bottom, which I won't be doing on my pink one. And I have seen versions of this where people have sort of put autumn motifs in, or Fairisle, or, you know, you can obviously do whatever you want with this yoke. So, you know, there's loads of fun, and you can just let your creativity run with you. Let's swing that round for now. Foxy's wearing my red version, and this is in a drops yarn. So, and then it's got a beautiful glass 1930s milk button at the back. But this is in a warmer, but not like boiling wool. The other thing I've got is this beautiful holly berries scarf. I'll just pop it on me and sort the hair out. Right, so I knitted this on Saturday evening and Sunday evening, and I'm going on tippy toes to show it to you. I love the pom-poms, and it's always fun. I've got those little pom-pom makers that makes it easy to make the pom-poms, and then you've got this detail here, so you've got the vein on the leaf. So it's like the Miss Marple scarves, of which I have a few, and I'm sure if you're a knitter like me, then You've probably knitted a few too. You know those little tiny scarves that it goes through the loop here. This pattern was shared with me by one of my lovely patrons over at Bobo Bun Sewing Club, where I teach all sorts of vintage inspired sewing, pattern cutting, creative crafts. And while we're on the subject, this is this month's project. It's a poinsettia corsage with all the sparkles and the beads. So I've designed this pattern and shared that with my patrons, and the response was wonderful. They're just really thrilled with it. You couldn't ask for more, because you're excited about something and you hope that other people will be just as thrilled. So my lovely patrons were really pleased with this. Now, something that did get a huge response was this scarf. As I said, it was shared to me as a pattern, and I didn't realise it was a free download. I posted a photo of this on my Instagram, and I mean, it was ridiculous how many people. I've never had such a shared post, you know, saved post. There was loads of people saving this because they loved it, and people were getting quite giddy over how glorious this scarf is. So I shared the pattern with the link, and I will tell you here where it is as well, and I'll put it down below because it's a free download on Lovecrafts, and it's the Annie Howard holly scarf, or it might be called the Hollyberry scarf, but anyway, I'll put the link down below. So if you want to knit your own, it's on 6.5mm needles, and you do flick just to the middle for 5.5mm, but it's a blooming quick knit. So I'm just going to take it off because it's a little bit hot. I mean, hot jumper and ridiculously hot scarf. Now that's better, isn't it? Because I do prefer Foxy to be dressed properly, as does she. A bit of nakedness in the dining room can be quite outrageous, I think. Right, other knits. I've got a simple one to show you, and then some patterns that I've got that I'm really excited about. So in terms of a very, very simple knit, I've just cast on this leftover cream wool, of which I'll now have to buy more, to just knit a long oblong scarf. My friend had a cream one that's just wrapped round, and then she pinned it with a diamante brooch here as they overlapped, and I just loved the effect of that. So just in basic you know, garter stitch in a cream. Hers was in white. I was just using what I'd got, but obviously I'm going to need more. So that was a really basic knit, and the reason I also cast this on was I found this knitting group called Norwich Knitters, with a K, and they looked really, really lovely. And my youngest daughter also knits, and they really looked like her kind of people. You know, I knew she'd really enjoy going to it, and just to meet people outside of uni is really good. So I was going to go along, but I'm just too busy. I'm out literally every night this week, all with nice things. One of them is a work, you know, I'm teaching, but we're sort of eating nibbles and playing music, and just, yeah, every single night is out. So I did want to go out Monday evening as well. So I think I'll go and join the knitting ladies, but I certainly wouldn't be doing something tricky where I've got to count the stitches or pick up stitches. I just want a back and forwards, because I did try a knitting group years ago and I got nothing done. I just chatted. So easy knits. But yeah, Millie went along and said it was just lovely. They meet in different cafes each week, and there's, you know, just lovely to be around other people sharing your knitting. So that's really lovely to have found out about too. Show you some knits, some more ideas, things I want to knit. And there's also, the other night on Etsy, I bought 3 more vintage patterns, but I can't download them. I've got to speak to the seller. There's a problem with downloading them. So I can't show them to you, but one is the classic sort of bunny, you know, the 1940s bunny kind of. It's in stripy rose jumper. I'm trying to think what the other one, I think there might have been a Fairisle in there, and then there's a cardigan with kind of, I think it might be, yeah, cable stitch in it. So all very different. Now I've got a few more Fairisles to show you. I saw that Susan Crawford, you know, the fabulous Susan Crawford of A Stitch in Time fame, and known for obviously lots of other things, she had got a half price sale on her patterns, and I really liked a couple. I went to buy those and saw, I don't know why I've missed this, she's got another version of A Stitch in Time coming out. It might be volume 3, and it's one where you pay and you get the downloadable PDFs each month, or it might be every few months, I don't know. And then everybody subscribing to that will pay for the printing of the book, which she will then eventually get, you know, when she can go ahead with that. So I paid my fee for that. So one, I've got the patterns to enjoy, and there will be more to be released, and then I'll get a lovely book at the end of it. So it's just a delightful idea and supporting somebody. Now, really, really love this. I mean, I've got some Fairisle cardigans that I like, but this one, everything about the shape. I love the V-neck cardigans, the puff sleeves, and the Fairisle, and do you know what, I actually just really like the colourway she's used. It's the same with all of her patterns. So I've only printed out the front pages because I normally just knit them off my iPad. The next one is this one, this beautiful sort of tank, and I don't wear grey, I don't like grey, so I knew I'd change it. I think it looks marvellous, but it's just not a colour that suits me, and I think that's her daughter actually modelling that one, her lovely daughter. This was one of the patterns, not from the book that will be coming out. It was one that I bought. Is that in focus there? And again, I just adore the colourway, and come up close so you can see that Fairisle pattern. But I love the coloured bands, and yeah, so that's absolutely glorious. An unusual one for me, I'll show you both pictures because I do like both views. It's a shawl. I'm currently watching The House of Elliot again. I'll just talk to camera to tell you that. If you've not heard of The House of Elliot, I think it's 90s, and I absolutely loved it. I was probably in my early 20s, 1920, when I first saw it, and it's set just after the First World War, going through to the early 20s. Oh, and it's, I mean, at times the acting is a bit over the top, and you know, it's just bit like too much melodrama, but that kind of adds to it. But the clothes are fabulous. They're talking about designers of the day, and it's just feel good TV, which we kind of need now. I just want escapism more than ever. So I found that on UK TV Play, and I'm watching that, and this shawl with the tassels here very much reminded me of Bloomsbury Group, House of Elliot, you know, the fashions of the time, and then you can see the front view, how it drapes round, and over a floral dress there. Just think it's really beautiful. This one's called, I'll just try and find the name of this pattern for you, the Haywood Hill. So I've got that, which is unusual. I don't normally do shawls and scarves. I get a bit bored knitting, you know, really long, huge things like that, but I may try that at some point. Now, this jumper from the soon-to-be book, Harlequin, absolutely love this, 1930s. And again, the colours she's chosen, I can't think how I could improve on those. And this big bow on there, I mean, that's just glorious, and the full sleeves. So utterly love that. And then there's this 1950s one, which is called Marble. And can you see the detail in that? That reminds me of a Formica table we had in our cottage, which I think the ex-husband, I gave that to him so he couldn't have the really good big table, so I could keep cutting out my fabric on it. But yeah, it reminds me of that. It very much is 1950s Formica inspired, isn't it? You know, the old tables and chairs. So there's some absolutely beautiful patterns in here that have given me lots of food for thought, and definitely 2024 is going to be filled with a lot of fairisling going on. How do you say it? Fairisling. I shall be off to the Fair Isle of Fairisling. Will be my destination. With all of these patterns I've shown you, obviously we've got Christmas coming up and people buying gifts, and then on the 29th of December it is my birthday. I'll be 55, which I can't quite get my head round. Not because I have a problem with age or aging, it's just like, my God, I've been alive this long. 55 is in my head what I always thought really old people were. It's 5 years away from 60, so then I think, oh my God, I'm running out of time. You know, time's rushing away, you know, and it's just all of that. It's just a bit overwhelming, you know, when you think, God, I've been around quite a long time now. But there we go. So it will be my birthday, which is always a very nice day, because to have a day dedicated to oneself it's not a bad thing, I don't think. So I have said I would really like wool because I've got all these lovely projects. So my suggestion, I don't know if my daughters or my loved one will take me up on this, but my suggestion was I'll go on Wool Warehouse, I'll order the wool so I know what I'm getting, then you can pay for it, wrap it up, and I won't have looked at it and get that oh, and feeling it and seeing all the colours together moment until it's gift time. That was my idea. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but if not, I'm going to have to be getting some new wool, aren't I? I was thinking that, you know, a Christmas Eve cast on would be rather nice, but do you know what? I'll still be knitting my pink jumper. I don't think that's going to get finished. I've got scarves and things I want to knit for other people, and I've got wool for other things, so it's just that I want to be thinking of all the new shiny knits right now. So onwards and upwards. Thank you so much for joining me today. There's been quite a few new people joining here, so it's lovely to have you with me. Thank you for subscribing, and to all the people who have already subscribed. I really enjoy doing these videos for you, and then when we chat in the comments, that's always lovely too, and hearing what your thoughts are. Until next time, I think I'll be joining you just before the big day. The big day being, for me, Christmas Eve. Christmas Day itself, I'm neither here nor there about, to be honest, which sounds a bit misery. I adore all the days leading up to Christmas Eve, and I love Christmas Eve, but I will be chatting to you before then. So until next time, happy knitting or sewing, you know, if sewing's your preference. So get the wool out, maybe knit yourself a holly berry scarf, and have a lovely festive season, everyone. Bye bye.